Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Into the Far. We played our ending as a beginning. That's all my fault. So you know what we get tonight? We get the beginning at the end. Yeah, it's Tuesday night, and it's Bear Maker Rule Night, I guess. I don't know.
It's Bizarro Tuesday night.
Yes, it's Bizarro Tuesday night, and we've got the king of Bizarro with us tonight, Ronnie Dee, the president of OSPH and also of the outrageously new Historic Harriman Hospital. We'll be talking a little bit about both of those today, so we'll have him on in just a second. As far as bio is concerned, Ronnie does it all. I'm going to let Ronnie do his own bio and talk about that. But first of all, I'm going to pitch it over to Tanya and Billy and see what they're doing.
I'm checking out the chat room right now. I'm seeing a lot of familiar faces in here.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you guys for joining us tonight.
Excellent. Welcome all. And it's going to be a great night for the chat room because, with the guests that we have tonight, Ronnie, he loves to answer questions about his facilities and everything else, and he has got some great ones, let me tell you. And this new one that, from what I hear, is just going to be a barn burster. So without further ado, I say let's bring him on. What do you think?
Let's do it.
Drum roll, please. And there he is. Hey, Ronnie, how you doing, my friend?
Hey, guys, how are you? I was actually going to walk in backwards since you put my luck, I trip over the chair and break a leg, and so
yeah,
that wouldn't be good.
We'll play the show in reverse later on and see what kind of subliminal shit comes up.
Right, exactly. We'll let someone interpret that stuff. Woo!
Ronnie, everybody in the chat room is saying, "What's up, Ronnie?"
Hey, everybody. How are y'all? You can tell I spend too much time in Tennessee now. The y'all and
yeah, there you go.
You know what they say? Come on over, man. The water's fine.
That's right.
Oh yeah.
Glad to have you.
I don't know. That's all the stuff I've been hearing about water lately, which we're not going to get into lately. Gosh, I'm going to have a cup of coffee with water in it. I don't know.
So, Ronnie, you've been pretty busy lately, haven't you?
Oh my God. Yeah, we've been super busy, and I have to give a shout out. We did just buy a new hospital, and I thought South Pittsburg was going to be a lot of work. This hospital is 3 times the size of South Pittsburg.
Oh yeah,
it's a city block, and luckily it hasn't had years and years of neglect. We bought it from the city of Harriman, and the city of Harriman was taking pretty good care of it. But I will tell you, it's really, really neat because as Old South Pittsburg, we got a couple of operating rooms that date back to like I think it was the 80s or 70s or whatever. So now all the history is coming together. But the new hospital actually has original operating rooms with green tile from back in like the 30s and 40s. The hospital was built in the late 30s, early 40s. And we did some research because we were looking at another hospital up here in the northern states. And when we were looking at the operating rooms had the green tile. So I was like, that's kind of strange. I wonder why. So we, got on the Google machine, and we found out that the reason there was a doctor in the early 20s who started the whole green tile thing. And the reason being is that when a doctor was in the middle of surgery, a lot of times they take their eyes off the patient to kind of, just gain their whatever. When they looked up at a white wall, it took their eyes a couple of minutes to adjust to get back to going to the patient. And there were accidents actually being made by the doctors because their eyes weren't adjusting. And a lot of times when they're doing surgery, it's, a very timely fashion. Well, they realized that when they did green, the green actually accented the blood in the internals of the body. So when you looked at the green wall and you came back to it, there was no adjustment period from the time that they would break away to looking down at the doctor. We just thought that was really, really cool. But the hospital's got the original, like 1930s, like green tile,
Green look,
black floors, and the operating lights are there. And then you walk about, I don't know, maybe a half a mile, feels like. But you walk down, and the operating rooms in the new building are in perfect condition too. And those date back to the 80s or 90s, I believe, the early 90s. And you can see like the difference between, the different time eras of the hospital. So this hospital is really unique.
That's cool.
And that when they built on it, they didn't really change the 30s part of the hospital. They just built on new wings and updated the wings and left the old wings old. So it's neat. It's like a time capsule. As you're walking through the building, you can definitely see the way it expanded. Really, really kind of a unique building, really kind of neat. We're very, very fortunate to have saved it for, all of Tennessee to share. And, we did a lot of work. It took us almost a year, convincing the city what we're going to do is good, because Harriman, if anybody looks it up, is actually a really, really tight-knit community. They call it the city that Temperance built. It was one of the last cities to actually go wet. And the Temperance, if anybody's been there, it's got a beautiful building that we overlook. It's called the Temperance Building. It was part of a college, and the building is just amazing. So we're kind of like in the middle of right downtown Harriman.
Cool.
All the buildings date back to 1800s to the 1920s, 1930s, and so it's really, really a quaint little town. And I thought Old South Pittsburg was really tight knit. I walk down Harriman and people are walking up to me going, "Hey!"
I was going to ask you how is Harriman greeting you and the staff?
When we first moved in, I'm not going to lie, just like South Pittsburgh, I was really, really apprehensive. I was nervous because what we do isn't accepted by a lot of people. I mean, there's a lot of people out there who are really against what we do, and it seems that Harriman is one of those southern cities that's got a Baptist church on every corner. And so we were really concerned. And when it was actually announced to the public that we were buying the hospital, we did get a little bit of backlash from those individuals. And then, and I know the city commissioner and the city administrator, our mayor is actually going for election. He's going to try to become like a Roane County board member now. And he's the mayor. He's trying to move forward. And it was kind of unique. A couple of weeks ago, they were at like a convention or whatever they do to get elected. And somebody walks up to him and goes, "Hey, the gentleman's name that runs the city, he's the city administrator. His name is Scott Mason. And he was with the mayor. And somebody walks up to him and says, 'Are you the one? I need to talk to Scott Mason.'" And Scott Mason's like, "Well, that's me." And the lady just went off on him. "I can't believe that you sold it to a bunch of devil worshiping Satanistic," like she's going on and on and on. and poor Scott Mason was just like, "Do you even know what they do?" And the lady's like, "Anybody who does that, they believe in this and they believe in that." And I'm like, so I told Scott and I had a really long talk about my beliefs in the paranormal, what I believe, what we're chasing. And, one of the things I told Scott is I said, if we believe that there's demons walking the earth, which a lot of people do, well, why don't we believe that there's angels walking alongside those demons? So I said, well, why aren't we talking to them? Why aren't we talking to the angels and that kind of a thing? And Scott Mason looks at me and goes, "Whoa, that's deep." So when the lady walked up to him and says, they're chasing demons and they're doing this. And he looks her dead in the eyes and says, "No, they're chasing angels." And the lady just stopped dead in her tracks. And she's like, "Well, what does that mean?" And she says, "Well, this is what they believe." And the lady had nothing to say. She looked at her. She stopped dead in her tracks, was dumbfounded, I guess, kind of tucked her tail between her legs and walked away. And I was like, good for you. And, so like I said, we try and be positive and because we don't really know what we're investigating until that becomes, but it's one of the things that we're very open-minded about, and that's what we do. And so I think as people are seeing what we're doing, and as people are I was vetted severely. Before we got into the city, they called South Pittsburgh, they talked to the mayor, anybody that Harriman could get a hold of, they talked to. And it was really kind of neat because the fire marshal, or I'm sorry, not the fire marshal, the police chief calls me one day, and I was at OSPH and I was working. He says, "Hey," I said, "What?" He goes, "Are you buying another hospital?" And at this point in time, it was really secretive. I mean, we kept it really on the down low. There were 2 or 3 of us who knew that were going back and forth and kind of helping it out. And I said, "Why?" And he says, "Well, because I just got a phone call from a city saying that you're going to purchase their hospital." And I said, "Well, how did you know that?" He looks at me, well, on the phone, he says to me, "Duh, I'm the chief of police. I know everything." Oh, that's true. So it was really kind of funny. So, he said, "You know what? We don't have any problems with them. They're great people. They're the best neighbors in the world because we want it quiet. I mean, we are the ideal neighbor." And so, they were talking about that, and they called the mayor, and then of course they called the city to find out what our income we were bringing in, and all that other stuff. And the city was like, "They're fantastic. I mean, Mr. Ronnie is doing a great job. He's upkeeping the building, and you guys have all been there. My staff and I, what we like to do." And so it was really funny. So I got the phone call from, the mayor of Harriman, says, "We want to proceed. What do we need to do?" And I, so we sat down and had various meetings. Like I said, it took us about a year. And then a lot of the city council and the city and the, forgot what they're called, the industrial board had come out to, and I think Billy and Tanya may have been there that night, but I think that a lot of the city had come out to OSPH. They did a public investigation with us, and they were all like, "Whoa, this is really fun and really professional and really cool. And you guys really run a tight ship here." And I was like, "Yeah." I said, "We do." I said, "I learned from the best." We had Tanya and Billy there and Bear, and we've learned.
Oh, jeez.
See what I did there? I love that. But I said, so we really, really try to be professional, and we really try to, and JB was there that night, which JB, when you get JB,
oh yeah,
blah 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 blah. So it was really great. It was a very successful evening. I mean, they spent a lot of time talking to us. Like I said, and it was neat because they actually did some investigating with us. They used, some of the tools that we use in it. They got some good responses. I know one of them never did it before, and she got pulled. She had a little tug from one of our OSPH, spirits, and that was it. She spent the rest of the night in the gift shop. But it was really fun. It was very eye-opening for them, and they're like, "Whoa, this is really kind of cool." And so I think we kind of won the city council over. We won the industrial board over. And the thing that's really unique about Harriman is a town that has just had nothing but tragedy happen. In the early days, they got hit with a flood. They got hit with a tornado. Everything in the damn town burned. If you do some research on Harriman, we had a hotel that was actually on our property. That was to the back corner of it, and it was a hotel that burned to the ground. There was loss of life there. There was just so much in that poor little town. It was a booming town at one time, and now it's kind of a desolate little town that they're trying to redevelop and rebuild. And it's quaint. It's a really cute little town, and we really enjoy it. And like I said, you kind of come into town, and what's really unique about the building is it looks just like OSPH from the front. You pull up and you look at it and you go, "Oh, that's it? Where's the rest of it?" Because the rest of it is pushed behind the building and it goes down the city block. So when you pull up, you're like, "Oh, there's 4 stories," and it's like, "Oh, that's not very big." And then you get in, it's like, whoa. And it's just overwhelming. The building is it's huge. And I know that my team and I have spent a little bit of time investigating. Out of 168,000 square feet, I don't think we've left about maybe 2,000 square feet, because it has been so darn active. We haven't gotten into the rest of the building yet.
Right.
Well, I tell you what, Crystal and Leanne's little walkthrough with you the other day.
That was awesome.
That was awesome. I got lost right off the get-go. And the place was amazing, and we cannot wait to get down there.
It's amazing that it's in the condition it's in. I mean, there are parts of the building that, especially the new part, and the equipment's there. It's like they really just rolled up. And I think something that's really, really neat is that we're having motion studios who are coming to us, and we're doing shoots. We're not allowed to tell anybody. going to be a major motion picture film there this summer, which is really kind of neat. And we had one of the paranormal shows was out to film, which we can't say who they were. But they were out to film, and the producer and I sat down and talked, and we're going to do a pilot program for next year for the hospital. That's something new that they're going to do. But it's just, like I said, it's amazing. And PBS just was out the other day. They want to do a documentary on rural hospitals. So it's really neat.
Awesome.
It's really a cool building that's going to be multi-purposing. It's going to be, for us, for paranormal, which is my big thing. But it's also neat, too, because it's also going to be utilized for motion pictures. It's going to be utilized for a lot of other things. So,
well, I'll tell you what else it's going to do. It's going to bring people to the town of Harriman.
well, we know that.
Exactly.
All the mom and pop shops are going to reap the rewards.
Yes. Well, and the thing
That's
that a lot
right.
of people don't understand, too, is that it's dead center of downtown Harriman. I mean, it's in the city block in the dead center. Right across the street is City Hall, fire department, police department, which is really good for those people trying to sneak in. I mean, we can literally throw a rock at the police department and the fire
That's
department.
excellent.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
But what's really, really neat, like I said, is that it's just like you said, it's going to really invigorate that area, and it's going to kind of give them a shot in the arm. And Harriman's a sleepy little town, and this is going to put them on the map. We're about 30 miles away from Brushy Mountain. We're about 30 minutes away from Knoxville. So once again, you have a major airport that you can fly in and out of for people. And I just took a lady who's like, Richard Estep is going to be there June 11th. And I'm like, yes, she is. Yes, ma'am. Where's the nearest airport? I'm like, Knoxville. Oh, and I can hear her typing in the background going, oh, airfare is only like, and she's like, she's coming from North Carolina. And she's like, how am I going to get there? I'm like, we'll come pick you up. Sure, no problem. So, but I mean, she's like, oh, my mom. So yeah, so it's kind of neat. The word is out, that we're doing it, and we're excited, and that's just awesome. Like I said, it's really neat. And what's cool is that we've got to spend a year there in the process of making the purchase. And so in that year, we got to do a lot of investigating, because I didn't obviously want to buy a building that, you walk into and there's nothing going on. So we wanted to make sure that there was activity. So, and I just got to tell this real quick story, because so there's 8 of us. And this is our first evening in the building. It was Steve Denson, myself, Brooke, Leanne, Heath, the major players of OSPH and of Harriman. And we're walking through, and this is our first evening in there. And so we're walking in that area that we're talking about with the new ERs and the recovery room. And all of us see this man, as plain as day, guys. I mean, as plain as day, just walk right by us. Well, I tell the story because I think it's really funny, because I'm a Chicago boy. We're not allowed to carry guns. And it's really, I'm getting to the point now when I'm in Tennessee, I do carry a gun now. It's still not, it's still not natural for me. I've been in Chicago for 52 years of my life. So it's not natural. So anyway, so we see this guy running, and we all look at each other. And by the time I looked back, Steve and Heath and Terry all have their guns drawn. Like everybody. It was like, oh, I turn around, I'm like, oh my God, it looks like a cavalry. So and everybody's like drawn, and because this is how vivid this person was. Well, when you go up into that area, it's kind of a straight shot hallway, but then it kind of comes around in a big circle where you can go to like the waiting area where you would wait for your loved one to come out of surgery. And then the doctors and nurses have their staff room. And then you have the operating rooms, and then recovery. Well, we're chasing this fella for about 15 minutes. And every time we're about to catch him, he disappears. And we're like, well, whoever this is, and like I said, remember, I've got the cavalry behind me with guns drawn. And we're all walking through, and one thing, if it would have been just me, I would have kind of discounted this, well, whatever. Well, all of a sudden, all 8 of us see him walk directly in front of us, and the door opens. And we're like, we got him, we finally got him. So we run into the room, we open up the door, and the room is the conference room for surgery. There's no way in, or there's one way in and one way out, and there's no man in that room. And I remember all of us looking at each other like, well, the first thing Steve says to me is, "So who am I going to shoot now?" I laughed. I said, "Thank God, nobody." It was kind of funny. I'm like, we're all just puzzled. We're pulling back ceiling tiles. We're like looking for trap doors because it was so vivid and it was so lifelike that we're all like, whatever. Well, this individual, we still haven't quite figured out who it is, but we'll be working in the hospital. We'll come up the stairs and he's standing in the doorway, just staring at you. And as you walk up the stairs, he'll just disappear.
Great.
And it happens all the time. We all see him. Like I said, it's one thing when you're walking through a building and you see something out of the corner of your eye, like, oh, but everybody has witnessed this individual, and he's so strong and manifests so well that, I mean, you can see details on him.
Full body apparition. When you're talking about full body apparitions, you're talking about somebody that looks just like me or you standing in the hallway looking at you.
Yeah.
So many people don't get the opportunity to see them, and they don't believe that that's the way that they appear. We've had this discussion a lot, and I mean, it is a freaky thing when you see a full body apparition walking.
Well,
and
like you said, it's a new building, so we don't know what to expect. And because the building's been closed for 10, 13 years, people do kind of make their homes in these buildings. So we were like weary. And so it's really funny. So we all kind of regather and regroup, and we go sit down on the stairs and up front, and they'll look at me and go, "So you're buying the building?" Right, we are.
I think it may be haunted.
And since then, it's finally to the point now where, I got on one of the pages where the nurses all were part of and stuff like that. When I think I might have did it a little too quickly, I introduced myself, said I was interested in buying the hospital, tell me your stories. And of course I got kicked off the page, and, they didn't accept me very well. Well, now we've got doctors and nurses realizing that we're there and we're going to make the best of this. And they're calling, and the stories that we're hearing about the hospital being haunted, like when it was open, are just phenomenal. I mean, we're getting all sorts of just, people will come up to us and be like, "Yeah, I was in the hospital and I was a nurse there for 26 years. And they did. Did they tell you about Joanne?" "No, tell us." And then they tell you these stories. "Did you hear the story about?" And "No, tell us, please." So it's really neat. It's a great location, and I think it's gonna turn out really well for the paranormal and for the city of Harriman and for myself, because this is I love doing this. I love restoring the old buildings. I mean, anybody who's seen me work from morning till night, and this is what I get into. This is what I like, and I'm just glad I get to share another location in Tennessee with everybody. So really, really cool.
It's awesome.
Well, we're super excited about it.
Oh yeah.
We're excited for you. We're excited for Harriman. We just know how this stuff works, and in the green room, we were just talking just a little taste about it, not to go back to the other place, but you mentioned what was going on at OSPH, that it seems like they're kind of in that mode of, "Here, hold my beer."
we were discussing this because a lot of the team of mine and I we've got some new blood coming in, because we one of the things we like about the way we do things is that we always have somebody on staff when we have an overnight for emergencies, questions, batteries, anything like that you need. So we want to make sure that we have enough staff in both locations. And one of the things that's really important to me is that OSPH especially doesn't fall apart, and that we don't put the love and care into the building that she needs because we're focusing on another building. So it's really, really important to me that we maintain the highest level of paranormal beauty that we can in both locations.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because I haven't spent a lot of time at OSPH lately because my concentration has been getting OHH ready, for people to visit and stuff. And so I did have the opportunity the last couple of weeks to go back and forth and putting thousands of miles on my car going back and forth. But it's been crazy at OSPH. I mean,
come back, it's like, welcome home, cheater.
It's active to the point where it's almost scary. We've got groups that are just coming after their investigation. I had a lady send me a video the other day of something I could never seen at OSPH and can't explain. and she's just sending these things to me, and I'm like, holy cow. And like you said, it's like we've been talking about OHH a lot and kind of bragging about the activity, and OSPH is like, hold my beer. We're gonna you think it was active here before?
Yeah.
Lady O needs no introduction. She
Yeah.
stands on her own, and
Sure does.
And like I said, and I think I think for the first time, it's neat owning two separate locations, because I can tell you, and my team will tell you without a shadow of a doubt, we all know Dr. Taylor's at OSPH,
Yeah.
but he has made appearances at the new hospital.
He follows you.
He has. I think,
we say it all the time.
yeah,
Brooke.
there's crossovers between.
He's following Brooke.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely crossovers between the two hospitals, and that right in itself is really unique. I mean, and that's something that as an owner of two locations, I get to kind of witness like some of the I guess the what do you call it, the similarities between hauntings and locations, because Dr. Taylor, we know, has got a very specific haunt. I mean, that smoke and that what he does is very, very particular.
Yep.
Well, we're walking down the hallway of the new hospital, and there's the smoke and there's the smell, and everybody's like, oh, Dr. Taylor's here.
Yeah.
Right? So it's really cool. It's really unique. It's like I said, and it's just really, yeah, like I said, it's a neat location, and it's neat to be able to kind of see the similarities between the hauntings at both locations.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Frankie Lynn had a question a few minutes ago. Now that you've got two hospitals, is there a reason why it's hospitals?
I do. So yes, I do like hospitals, and the reason being is as a kid I played hockey most of my life. I spent a lot of time in hospital.
Home away from home.
If you take a look at this nose, it's been broken a lot of times. I've got stitches. If we're not taking my clothes off here on national broadcast TV. I've been stitched up, and I've been hurt quite a bit because I was one of those. I had small man syndrome as a hockey player. Not gonna lie. I don't care if you were 6'2" or whatever. I was gonna go toe to toe with you, and a lot of times I was on the losing end of some battles. More often than not, probably. I spent a lot of times in hospitals, and what was really fascinating to me about the hospitals is a couple of things. But number one, when you're in the hospital, in most cases, you don't really get to see the behind the scenes. You go into the hospital, and some young lady comes out or young gentleman comes out, and they assess your damage, and then they whatever, and they put you out. You go into the operating room, you come out, you're in recovery, and you don't get to see like what really makes a hospital tick. And so that's really captivating to me. And I think that's one of the reasons why I gravitate towards them. But really the second reason, and really in all honesty, is the hospital staff, the people who, doctors, nurses, they are responsible for us 100%. They keep us healthy. When COVID was around, they were risking their lives for us. One of the things that I find really cool about being in a hospital is we get to keep that legacy alive. Yeah. We get to brag about a Dr. Taylor or Nurse Betty or Joanna or somebody who spent their entire life making sure that you and I went home to our loved ones at night. Right. And so I think that's really neat. And the hospital has just got so many different parameters about it in terms of all that stuff. And I think that's what really compels me to hospitals. Plus, what else is really neat is it's the one and only building in America that's from birth to death and everything in between. It's the only facility anywhere that you have a baby and you end up dying there. Well, hopefully, whatever, but you have the possibility of dying there. And I think that's what's really unique about it. Plus, I think that because there's so much energy and there's so much chaos and so much trauma, I think those buildings are a lot more haunted than other locations, because think of the thousands upon thousands of people who have come in and imprinted their energy on those walls. I mean, whether they were a nurse, a doctor, or somebody who broke their nose playing hockey, that energy is just part of the hospital. It's part of the walls. And I think that just inspires a lot of energy and a lot of emotion and a lot of different things. And I think that a lot of healthcare workers, they work from morning till night. I mean, and that energy is in the building. And when you do that, that energy gets trapped. And I think you end up with a lot of good experiences there. And I think that a hospital is generally a good location because the hospital is saving people, it's helping people. So you're not going to really run into some of the other issues that are out there in the paranormal world in terms of, the negative. It's mostly positive and that kind of thing.
We're always talking about intent in this field. Having the right intent affects, the activity that you're having. Well, if you think about it, these hospitals, all the people that work there, whether they were bringing life into the world or helping life pass, they all had the right intent.
Right.
But that intent carries over.
Stays.
And then you've got the residual part of it to where it was open 24/7 and they were constantly making the rounds day and night. There was constantly turnover in the rooms. So there's that too.
Right. Yeah, we just like you said, there's just so many forms of, and I hate this part of it, but there's just so many forms of tragedy too that get lost there. And I'm a firm believer that a lot of the spirits that we do come in contact with are spirits that are really confused, that died in a traumatic injury, and they're, whoa, what happened to me? And I think in hospitals too, I think you have a lot of people, doctors, nurses, maintenance people, who have spent their entire lives there, and that energy is there, and they want, like Joanna, which is one of the haunts that's at the new hospital. She basically told the other nurses that when I die, I'm never leaving this place. And I believe that
there's work to be done.
She actually said that.
And she enjoyed it, I'm sure.
She enjoyed it, and she had a cardiac. And I believe, hopefully I'm going to do this right, and I know that Brooke and Leanne are watching, so hopefully I'm right. But I believe she died at the age of like 43 or 45 of cardiac arrest, and she died in the hospital. She died exactly the way that she wanted to die. And the hospital was her home. She spent her life there, and she spent her life in the cardiac ICU area of A3, and like I said, so when you have, I'm correct. So when you have that energy and you have that love for something, yes, you're going to stick around. You're going to see it through. And like OSPH, I think when you get somebody like myself and my team who comes in and they're excited to share that legacy and they're excited to keep that history going, you've got spirits who are like, hey, I'm going to talk. I'm going to tell people that this was my home. This is, so I think it's a win-win situation for the hospital. I think it's a win-win situation for us. And I just think all in all, I think like I said, everybody talks about fate and all other stuff, but I think this is something that was really meant to be by myself. And I enjoy it, and it's something that I just don't lose the passion for. I just think it's amazing, and the hospital is just the way I'm going, and I know that we're working on a couple things behind the scenes too, on a couple other hospitals, but I want to keep these going, and it's primarily, like I said, I want to keep that legacy of our healthcare workers. The new hospital, we're going to do actually a room where I think the girls came up with the heroes of Harriman, and we're going to put people's faces out there and, when they worked, what they did, because we really, really want people to recognize that, our lives really depend on these people. If it wasn't for these people, I'd have a more crooked nose. Somebody wouldn't have been able to fix it.
And you guys really delve into all of the history. I know you did at OSPH, and I know you're doing the same thing there. That's really amazing to know all that stuff. And we know that you're going to get it right. We've seen you correct a lot of things.
We're trying, and this is one of the things that's really cool. And this is the fun part of this hospital. It's got no past. There isn't bad ownership running around telling people that there's a demon running around here, and that Jim died because he was a pedophile. There is nobody out there for that. There's no rumors. There's no nothing. We're starting from a clean slate. And I know Leanne and Brooke have been, oh my God, tearing it up. We're finding out that there's hotels that were on our property. There was a roller skating rink. There was the Board of Exchange for real estate on there. There's so many things that were on there. And then, like I said, and then we're going to the nurses and the doctors and everybody who's worked there. So we get to do this the right way this time. We don't have to clean up somebody else's mess. We get to go out there and say, you know what? there aren't 4,000 soldiers buried under the hospital. It never happened because it's never going to get out there because, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
It
Right.
worked really well. And I think that's something that we're all really, really excited for is that we get the opportunity to start on a clean slate and actually tell history the right way.
Right.
Yes.
And I think what's going to be unique about that is because we're doing that, I think the hospital is going to be active from day one. Because if you tell the history the right way, people
Everything
want to be
works.
bragged about. People want recognition for doing the right thing. So we're not going to have to regain Chim's trust and
Right.
have him, you know what I mean, have him
Yeah.
come out and entertain everybody in his afterlife, you know, the correct way because it's already the right way.
Right.
Exactly.
And with that too, you know, when people catch evidence while they're there, you know, they can cross it with what you guys have and know who they're talking to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a real win situation. It's a win-win situation for the hospital, for even the town of Harriman, you know, because we do have some people who are like, oh, my daddy died there, and I think it's disrespectful and stuff like that. And I try to explain to them the hospital is different than a cemetery. We've had this conversation in the past. I will never investigate a hospital. And this is just my personal experience or my personal beliefs. You know, I'm not trying to pass it off on anybody else. Everybody's got their beliefs. But in a cemetery, I think that you're laid to rest. That's your final resting place. And you shouldn't be bothering them. I mean, that's, like I said, that's kind of the end of the line for them. Whereas a hospital, it's not the end of the line for them. They're still there. They're still active. They're still wanting to tell their story. So I think it's a little different in that. And I think that's what makes the hospital a really cool place to be able to do that investigating.
Well, I know you've only investigated a small portion of the hospital. Other than, you know, the gentleman wandering around, have you had any really Scooby-Doo moments?
Oh, too many of them. I mean,
You know, where the wheels are spinning, but you ain't moving.
Yeah.
it's been an eye opener. I mean, this is the first time in my career of doing this that I'm starting from scratch. So when you walk into OSPH, there's already people who have been investigating there. You know, I investigated there before I bought it. So when you're kind of walking into the building, you kind of have an idea of what's going to happen, where it's going to happen, and what time it's going to happen.
Yeah.
We're walking through a building that we have no clue.
No
Right.
idea.
There's no idea. So, I mean, we have walked through the building where we're walking and all of a sudden doors slam behind us. We all turn around and look. And then, of course, the investigator in us goes, okay, was it just the wind? Was it just this? And I mean, we've had things thrown at us. Just the other night we were there. We were setting up the crew room for them to stay when there's investigators there. And we're all putting together a futon and we hear humming in the hallway. As plain as, I mean, loud humming, like somebody was walking through the hallway, just, and we're all like, and Heath looks at me and goes, stop humming. I'm like, that's not me. But it was that loud that we all heard it. And then the footsteps, you know, always you hear the footsteps. We heard like the door closing. We heard tapping. You hear so many things. And this was on the third floor, which was just the patient, which what I would kind of consider like a safe place. It wasn't so safe. I mean, we're all putting together a futon. We look up and you see a shadow kind of dart past the doorway, and we're all looking at each other like, oh. So we feel like OSPH, when you're walking through it, you know that they're around. You know what I mean? This building is like you're on guard because you're walking through and you really, really feel like you're at. Like people are sizing you up like, what the hell are you doing here? Like,
Who are you?
who are you? Like, why are you putting a futon together in the patient room? That doesn't belong.
I gotta say, I would really love to see the blooper reel.
Yeah.
We are actually working on that, which is really kind of neat. So the production company that came to do the show a couple of weeks ago, which I'm so excited for, the group of individuals that did it, we were their 12th stop on their tour of what they were doing. We actually got to speak with the stars of the show for a little bit, and they looked at us and they were like, usually this is how it's done. They said, we couldn't stop. It was nonstop. They told us that this is going to be one of the first locations where they're going to have to go to the chopping board and actually chop out good evidence. Like, it was that intense. And I was
excuse me.
like, we don't know what to do. Like, there's that much stuff that happened while we were there. And I'm just smiling like ear to ear, because
That's awesome. You love to hear that.
well, especially when, a professional comes in, or hope they're professionals. I mean, there's a lot of hearsay in terms of what they do and don't do. This group of individuals, I think, are pretty good. But when somebody can come up and they can say some of the things that we were experiencing before happened to them, and they caught it on film, you just kind of like, yeah. I mean, it's a great experience. So,
oh yes,
we're excited. We're excited for everybody to to see the show when it comes out.
Well, there's a whole lot of stuff that we can't talk about right now, but let's talk about some of the stuff that we can talk about. You got some events coming up.
We do. We have, and I'm so excited for this. Richard Verstappen has become a very near and dear friend of mine. We talk quite a bit, quite a lot. He's really, really kind of my mentor. He's teaching us a lot of kind of new techniques, kind of some new stuff. It was really cool because we have a new book coming out that he wrote about OSPH, and it's going to press. He's about ready to send me the manuscript so I can just approve it, to make sure that there's stuff in there that I, that needs, if it's something, whatever that I don't want in there, he's like, oh, we'll pull it out, which if anybody read his books, I'm pretty sure he's going to be spot on as always. But so it's really neat. So he sent me the cover. If anybody's been on our Facebook page, either one of them, we put the cover on. And what's really, really cool is we have him coming to the new hospital on June 11th. He's going to be doing the book signing of OSPH, which is really, really cool. So he's going to bring a bunch of books with him. We haven't figured out what the price was yet because he hasn't told me. But he's going to do some signings, and he's going to tell about his experiences at OSPH. And then we're going to talk about him writing a book about the new hospital. He's really excited to do that. So that's our first event with a paraceleb, and we're really excited about that. The really bad thing is we have a public investigation on Friday night at OSPH. So I think by Sunday, my volunteers and I will probably sleep until Thursday.
Yeah.
But, we know how that is.
Yes. But we're really excited for him to come out. And I think we have, if I remember correctly, of course, JB Coates, who will be at the event. And then we have, oh my gosh, the Fearless Ones will be out there. And then, of course, you guys, right?
Yep.
And you guys will be out there. So we're really looking forward to that. Yeah, and whenever you guys
we are too.
We have a blast when you guys are in the house. You know that. The one thing that we're going to start doing that I think a lot of other places don't do is they upcharge for VIPs. We're done with those days. Everybody's a VIP at OSPH and OHH. I want everybody to have the same experience, whether they're spending, a lot of these places will charge us $70, $80 extra for a photograph and all that other stuff. BS. We're done with those days. I want everybody to have a VIP experience. Everybody gets a photograph. Everybody gets to meet Richard or whoever. And I think that's something that's going to kind of set us apart from everybody else, because I really want everybody to be able to interact with, the celebrities and get to talk to them and not have people pay a surcharge to spend a little extra time and to get a picture with them. Everybody's going to get it. So it's really kind of neat. And I'm excited. I'm excited for that. And like I said, and when JB's in the house, there's so
you gotta love JB Coates. JB, I saw your message in there, saving one hospital one at a time, and Ronnie's doing that. And great to see you on the show. Thank you for tuning in tonight, JB. It's a pleasure to have you here.
She is. She's one in a gazillion.
She is. She is
high enough for JB. When that woman walks into the building, you can feel the energy coming off of her. And I'm very gifted to have her as somebody really important in my life, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, what kind of events do you have going on with Lady O?
None.
What?
What?
Oh, you're going to hear from that
I
one.
knew you were going to throw me under the bus on this. You're asking the wrong person. I know that we've got.
Well, we know Leanne's too shy to get on camera, so
I
She's
tried.
gonna know.
I was on my way here and I texted her and I'm rushing. Like I was telling you guys, I'm doing 70 and a 40 because I had come home from my real job and I'm driving and I'm like, yeah, JB, keep looking them up for me. And I'm driving as fast as I can here. And so I texted Leanne. I'm like, come on, Leanne, let's go live. Come on, I'll just watch.
Yeah.
She's really shy. She is just awesome. Her and Brooke together doing the managing of OHH and the history that the two have been doing is just phenomenal.
They are awesome.
That the new team over at OHH is awesome. They've been putting in countless hours. I mean, we procured the building a couple of months ago, and I mean, this group of people have worked tirelessly to get the building ready for you guys. And I think when you guys show up, you're going to be really pleasantly surprised at the amount of work that everybody has put in. It's just a really cool.
We won't be surprised.
No, we won't be surprised. We are used to it. I'll tell you one thing.
You guys roll.
Yep.
Yeah, after I went to OSPH, and walking into the front door, and I hadn't been there for years and gone through all the other problems that they had, and walked, I was just like going, "Oh, what?" And that was so. I mean, it was so impressive that I just, so I know it's going to be off the chain and it's going to be just amazing what you've done to the side of the building. I have seen some pictures of some ceiling tiles that were coming down and everything else, and then I see the same hallway again. And golly, it's just the stuff that you guys do that is just amazing. I doubt that you pulled as much trash as you did out of Old South Pittsburg.
No, and we're kind of funny because we were just talking about this, and we're up to 100 tons of garbage.
Really?
OSPH. We just pulled out another 4 tons, and we made it up to 100. And it's really kind of neat because I've got the bills from the trash removal company, and they, when I talk to them to pay the bill, they're like, "Oh my God, what did you guys do in there?" I'm like, "The hell was in there?" So. I had a nice long talk with my rep, and I'm like, well, let's see. We moved out 78 garbage disposal units and going on and on and on. They're really? Yeah. I'm like, oh, yeah. So
Leanne also says that in June, you guys are going to have Brian and Rochelle back.
That is correct, I believe. And Leanne, please give me the time. I don't know. We have Brian and Rochelle are back at OSPH, which if anybody has done a public event with celebrities, I will tell you that 2 of the most fun people to investigate with are Brian and Rochelle. She is the F-bomb queen. I've never met a woman who uses the F-bomb. So if that bothers you, I'll hit the beep button. In terms of overall, and Brian, when he's walking up and down the stairs, stay away from him because he'll generally fall down them. Doesn't matter where he's at. But it's June 18th, as Leanne says. We're really excited to have them back. And then, like I said, I think in August we have the Wraith Chasers back for the first time in a long time, and they're in for a night because we're doing a double that night. They're coming to OHH on a Friday night, and I believe that's August 5th. They'll be at OHH on Friday night, and then they'll be at OSPH on Saturday night, which is the 6th. So you get a double shot at Chris and Mike, and I believe JB's at both of those. I'm trying to think of who else. I think we have a couple other celebrities that are going to be there. In July, Shane Pittman's going to be at OSPH, and Josh Purvis. So they'll be there with the Searchers. And she's saying, yep, yep, yep. And one thing that we have to talk about, which is the coolest thing ever. We are going to, this year, for the first time ever at the new hospital, we're going to do what's called the Bloody Prom Night. So from the hospital is a really, really nice conference center. It's upstairs. It's upstairs above the city hall. And what we're going to do is we're going to actually have a formal prom, and you got to come as bloody and as gross as we're talking Carrie style here, guys.
They make horror movies about that stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is gonna be. I got to give all the credit to Leanne and Brooke. They came up with this. This is not my idea, which most of this really isn't anyways. But they're like, you know what? Let's do something really cool. Let's do, instead of October, everybody's a haunted house. They're like, let's do a haunted prom.
And then, of course, a prom king and queen?
Yes, we're going to do a prom king and queen.
We're going to do
we're going to contract. We're going to contract with one of the local bakeries. Have you guys ever seen the bodies that you cut into in their cakes?
Yes.
Yeah.
The body, the blood gushes out.
Yep.
We're going to do that. We're going to do all sorts of and then what we're going to do is after that's over, we're going to head across the street. We're going to do a ghost hunt. I know Brian and Rochelle are involved. They're going to hang out with us that evening. So we got a little bit of celebrity stuff going on. Josh Purvis will be there from the Searchers. JB will be there. What we really, really want to do is we want to make this a really fun evening. We're going to have a great dinner, dancing, the whole kit and caboodle. And then, like I said, and then after that's over, we're going to head across the street and do some ghost hunting and see what happens. So I think this is the first time anybody's tried anything like this. And we just were kind of thinking out of the box. What can we do? Because we kind of wanted it to be like a social paranormal event where, you know, there's so many teams and there's so many people out there. And a lot of times they don't, you know, we don't get to talk to each other, you know, and we figured, you know what, let's give this a try. Let's see if we can get, you know, a bunch of local groups together and we all kind of party and have fun, and there won't be any drinking or alcohol.
Well, according to Crystal, it's going to be a murder scene.
Well, that's what they tagged it as a night to dismember.
Yeah.
A night to dismember. I like it. I like it.
So,
that's great.
We're just kind of, like I said, I think it'll be a great night. It'll be kind of like a little, I don't want to call it a paracon, but kind of like a get together of paranormal investigators. We can eat, we can dance, we can get to know each other. It'll be kind of a cool big event. And then, like I said, and then afterwards, we'll go across the street and we'll do some ghost hunting in 168,000 square foot, you know, haunted. What more fun is that? You get to eat, you get to have cake, you get to see how bloody you are, and maybe you'll be the prom king and queen. So, I mean, it's really kind of neat. We got prizes, you know, we have prizes coming. It's like I said, it's going to be really cool. We're really excited about that. And I know that Brooke and Leanne are heading this up and got all sorts of ideas going on, and they're bouncing off each other. And every time I hear them, like, oh, that's cool. Oh, that's different.
Yeah, how big it is and getting lost. I got to ask, have any of you gotten lost in there yet?
Oh, the new hospital? I get lost all the time. Yeah.
Are you going to play hide and seek there?
It's too big.
Really a place to hide.
I am not teasing you guys when I say if you walk in the front door and you got to walk up the stairs to go to the bridge to get to the other side, it is probably a 15-minute walk from the front door to the back side of the building.
You hear Ronnie walking, somebody come find me, I'm lost.
And I get turned around, and if you go down to A3, and one of the things that we haven't done is we're not opening up the first floor of the old section yet, because there's some troubled areas down there that we've got to take care of. So that'll come in summer of next year. There's an elevator shaft, to be really honest with everybody. There's an elevator shaft in the old part of the building that the roof, when the building was actually still open and operating, they put a catch thing in. And instead of fixing the roof, they just caught the water. Well, that has long since deteriorated, and that it's going straight to the first floor. It's down the elevator shaft, and so it's spreading out, and it's causing a lot of issues down there. Luckily, no structural issues. It is a brick on cinder building, so my God, it will last forever. There's no issues with that. But there's a lot of water damage. There's a lot of, and I'm one of those people that the building's got to look nice. Sure. I don't, you know, I know a lot of people like the creep factor. They like to go to buildings that are kind of deteriorating and falling apart. I'm the opposite. I like to go into a building that's fresh and looks good and active, and not have to worry about, you know, a roof caving in on me or, you know, that kind of a thing. So we want to make sure that when we open that up, that it's going to be open right. But getting back to that, there are sections in the first floor that are open. And like I said, for you to walk in the front door, walk all the way down the hallway, and you look, I have never seen this before, but it's a city block. The hallway is literally a city block. You walk through the surgical suite, you walk through the nursery, you walk through, what do you call it, day surgery, you walk through psych, and then you walk into recovery or into step down. So there's 5 different areas of the hospital in that city block that you walk down through. And each one of them looks different. Each one is different. And then you walk down the stairs and you go to cardiac. So you basically have 6 different units that you walk through to get from point A to point B. And we haven't even talked about the 4-story building that you walk through to get there. So it's like a 15 walk. And,
Wow.
it's like Brooke just said, it's basically like The Shining. I mean, you look down the hallway and it's like, and it's neat because the hallway has got just enough ambient light from the street lights that it's crazy active in terms of seeing all sorts of movement.
I was going to say, just how dark are those hallways?
It's like, well, that hallway is, most of the hallways have just enough illumination that you can kind of, get your bearings and set. Now the area where the ORs are and the area where recovery is like OSPH. It's pitch black. Pitch black. And then what's really kind of neat is the 4th floor, which is the new part of the building, has the coolest things in the world. That's our ICU center. But they got pull-out stainless steel toilets that pull out from like the sink.
We saw that.
Those are,
and I noticed you said don't use them.
They are not functional, people.
Oh, yeah, not to be used.
And that's another cool thing is, guess what, guys? We have toilets and electricity.
Yay!
Hey!
That's always a plus.
That is.
So that's really exciting because I know how many of us got on an investigation where you got to pee in the tree in the backyard, but yeah, we have running water, we have toilets, we have electricity. It's like I said, it's really neat. But the experiences, like I said, we've had have just been, it's been crazy. It's been really active there.
That's super.
Sounds like it's been a real adventure.
Pardon?
Yeah.
Sounds like it's been a real adventure.
It has. It's been an adventure because, like I said, when you're working on the building, you definitely have that sense of somebody going, "Oh, they're finally doing something to our building."
Yeah,
like
that's
kind of like relief. So
we were watching the video the other day, and you could just feel the vibe of the place.
You mean the video that
holy shit, we're gonna get so lost.
You mean the video that sideways?
Mm-hmm. The walkthrough that y'all did the other day?
That I shot sideways. I bought one of those new gadget things, those gimbals.
Gimbals, yeah.
I had no idea how to use it. And 5 minutes before the show, I'm like, oh, let's put it together. Well, needless to say, apparently I didn't get it right. So I'm sorry, guys. We'll do another walkthrough with the right side up.
Hey, it was awesome.
It was awesome.
I got to ask you, talking about activity, and this is just something that popped into my head. And since you're the king of hospitals now,
not yet.
Well, two more for the king. We'll call you the French, the prince. When people always want to do octagonal on a full moon. Okay, now to me, I think the most active place to be on a full moon would be in a hospital, because everybody has, what do you see the most centuries? They geared up for more people to come in there. So my question to you is, do you see more stuff on the full moons? Have you even looked at it that way, or does it seem to be that's just methods the same way?
I don't think, I think I'm pretty naive to the lunar cycle. I will tell you that the last time we were there was a full moon, was the night that we were doing the crew room together, and we were there till, I want to say 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning, putting together the food and the TVs and such, and the security system. And that was the night we heard the humming and the footsteps and the door slamming. So I don't know, maybe there is. The more and more, I love paranormal. I love paranormal investigating. But the thing is my not interest, but my, whatever you call it, has kind of changed in terms of, I've been working my butt off, getting the hospitals prepared, getting them cleaned up.
Sure.
So by the time it's actually time to investigate, I'm sleeping. And hopefully once the hospitals are finally to the point where I'm comfortable and we're not constantly fixing something, I'll get more into the investigating again. I know that, like I said, right now, it's just my focus is really on getting the building up, getting it safe for everybody, getting it clean. And the paranormal is kind of like happening in the background. And, I'll look over my shoulder and be like, oh, this is going on. And I think it's kind of neat. I think as a building owner, it doesn't surprise me anymore. like it's to the point now where I see a shadow figure walk by me, like, hey Joe.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Or you see a full body apparition walk down the hall, and you're kind of like, okay, is that a person? Or, you know, I think as you're doing this, it kind of changes when you're around it so often. I don't want to say I'm numb to it because it's really cool, but I want to say it's kind of like it's an everyday occurrence to me. So it's like you're kind of like, oh, you know what I mean? I know when I bought OSPH that my you know, the holy grail was seeing that full body apparition nurse at the hospital, and that was the reason I bought the hospital, because I was like, this is the holy grail. This is what everybody wants to see, and it took me 16 years to do that, and I finally got OSPH, and then I finally got to own the building. So now my whatever you want to call it, my level of expectation of what I want to see is a lot higher. Okay. So you know what I mean? So it's really bad, but you know, like now what stops me is when I see something flying across the hallway. You know,
they have to work harder to get that jump scare out of you.
Yeah. So like we were at OHH, the new hospital, and sure enough, something goes flying across the hallway, and I stop and I look, I'm like, holy shit. You know, that's a new one. I'm like, because that's something that generally, whoa, I mean, they're really trying to get my attention. So it's kind of like you're you know, I don't know how you would say it, but you know, somebody who drives a car and it's got 300 horsepower and it goes this quick, you become acclimated to that speed.
Right.
So you're kind of waiting for the Ferrari, you know, and then you get behind the Ferrari or whatever, and it goes 0 to, so you're like, whoa, that's really fast. It's kind of that same thing. It's kind of like, oh, full body apparition. Hey, Joe. Yeah. Whoa, you're
she just drops everything and runs.
Yeah.
Yeah. I understand that so well because of me being at the hall all the time. And I mean, when something outrageous happens, the first person I'm on the phone with is Billy and Tanya going, holy crap, you wouldn't believe what happened.
Yeah,
you know, because, you know, you sit there and you see things and you see it, you see it, you see it. And lately, I don't know what it is, but weirder things are happening. They're just like coming out of left field going, what was that? What? Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's been the last, I mean, you hit on it, Bear. The last couple of weeks, I don't know what's in the atmosphere. I mean,
it's strange to me. I'll tell you that much.
There's been a whole lot of weird, I mean, just stuff that not only weird stuff, but stuff that takes a lot of energy.
Yes.
Like, make happen is happening. And you're like I said, so now, like I said, when I saw something go flying down the hallway, I'm like, who's throwing shit? Like, it's just not possible.
Right.
But yeah.
They're not sharp objects.
Not yet.
Yeah.
Wait for that scalpel to come flying across the hallway.
You know what? No. Wait till bloody prom night for that.
So yeah, but it is really unique. I mean, like you hit the nail on the head. The activity's been a lot more intense the last couple of weeks. It's really like I don't know if there's a message out there or something, but there's something going on that just the last couple of weeks. I mean, it's been different, really different.
Yeah, well, and the things that they're doing is totally different than the normal type of stuff, and it's the type of stuff that makes your mind go, what? I don't know. I just kind of look at it and say, where'd that come from?
It's not bad things. It's just things that you're just, like you said, it's just stuff that you're like, whoa, I've been doing this for 20 years now or whatever line. And you're like, yeah,
and you don't see it every day. Right, exactly. You're blowing my mind. Hold on a minute, Right. But we've got this up here again Saturday, June 11th at 6 p.m. Opening night at the Historic Harriman Hospital with Richard Estep and J.B. Coates and more. And what a beautiful building. I love the building. It does have the same thing. You get the same walkway going up as OSPH, and it is just a super building. And you're right, it does look small, but I do know it goes back a long, long way.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and it's just beautiful stuff, and we're really looking to help promote that. So, folks, let me tell you something, the place to be on June 11th at 6 p.m. is Harriman, Tennessee. You never know who you're going to see, what you're going to see. And with Ronnie and them putting this together, this is going to be one place and one thing. This is an opening you do not want to miss. For sure. Am I correct, Ronnie?
I'd like to think so.
I think so too. I think
it's going to be.
If you're done without that really ugly guy standing in front of the building, though, it really takes away from that 90s
No,
building.
actually, Ronnie, you know where we got that picture from?
I don't. What do you call
Because
that? What do you
it's
call
almost
it?
impossible to find a picture of you.
Right.
Yeah,
we
but
took that from the last show that you were on with us.
yeah, we actually picked that out of the last show. So that's one of the last show shots.
I thought that was my mug shot from getting arrested the other day. No.
Well, we're not going to tell nobody, but
Well, hey, you know, the things we got to do to keep track of you.
Oh yeah.
But we're going to be having you back on in another week after we get the next show coming up. And we're in a quandary about who's that's going to be right now. We got two people that I'm waiting on, I think. So it's going to be a mystery show for us next week. But on May 3rd, I believe is the date that you're going to come back and we're going to talk some more about Harriman. We're going to talk a little bit more about OHP. And we'll just talk about everything because, you know, you bring I love the experience you bring and the stuff that you say about your paranormal. You love the paranormal. You love your locations, and it shows, brother. And I am so happy for that. And you're one of a type, and I'm so glad that you have these facilities because you're the one that's doing it right, my friend. And I just can't
remember, guys, it's not me, it's us.
Exactly. And I love that because you've got the great group that works with you. You've got everybody there, and you make everybody feel part of it. You know, this is not just your location; it's everyone's. There's a piece of everybody in each of those locations. You know,
Yeah,
so
and he's got an amazing team too.
yes, you do. Hats off.
The new team over at OSPH. I mean, we got some superstars on that team too, but. You know, it's really neat. And I mean, I try to surround myself with people like yourselves who are like-minded, who were doing this for the right reasons, not the wrong reasons. You know, I don't believe in provoking. I don't believe in, you know, satanic rituals and chopping chickens' heads off and that kind of thing.
Well, Ronnie, with all the experiences that you've had with both locations now, you know you're doing the right thing.
Right.
We're trying. I mean, we're really trying, like I said. And like I said, it's not so much me, but it's who I surround myself around. I mean, it's like I said, it's people like you, Billy and Tanya and Bear and so many others, JB and everybody and the whole team. It's I surround myself with like-minded people who want to save a piece of history and want to do paranormal investigating the right way. We have so many people who come to us and I do it because what's really, really unique is that I get so many people. They get my personal phone number. A lot of times I'll give them like, let me know how the investigation went. Let me know what we can do to improve it, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, really? I'm like, well, yeah. I mean, we want to make sure we're doing things right. And it's really, really neat when somebody calls me and they're like, yeah, I did an investigation with Heather and Jeff last night. Oh my God, they were terrific. You know, they did this, they did that. Or I did a day tour with Heather, or, you know, I was with Heath and Leanne and they did this. And it makes me really excited for them because it shows that the team that's built around us, you know, the Daniels, the Darlas, the Sams, the everybody. Right. I mean, the new team over at OHH. It makes me really excited to know that they care as much as I do, and that at the end of the day, that you know what, yeah, I own the building, but you know, just like anything else, we rise as a team, we fall as a team. And, you know, if we're not hitting on all cylinders and we're not, you know, backing each other up and we're not doing everything the right way, you know, it's going to come out. People are going to be like, oh, I'm not going to that place because they do this or they do that. And we don't want that reputation. We want that reputation to make sure that people come and have an extremely safe experience, an extremely active building. And you know what? If they need us to order us a pizza, that's what we're there to do. I mean, we're there to support that. Or if, you know, their AA batteries are bad, here you go, here's some AA batteries. that's what I think is unique about my team, and that's something that I think that I surround myself with are people who, you know, Rhonda and her team of paranormal investigators are putting a lot of time into the hospital. They're there a lot. They're doing this. They're doing so many different things between her and Susie and Christina and I can't remember all of them, but they're putting so much time in the building, cleaning it up. You know, you got Heath and Leanne and the Densons and us, and you know, and it shows, and there's pride being put into the building. And like I said, and that gratification comes when the paranormal investigators leave at the end of the night and they're like, holy shit, not only is it clean, but that was the best experience I've ever had. You know, I got EVPs, I got touched, I got this, I got that. And you know, we sit back and we're like, yeah. You know, that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
That's what's really, really cool. And that's something we want to continue doing. And we don't want to be chasing other venues. We want the other venues to be chasing us. You know, Octagon Hall is another venue that's, you know, we hear it. There's a lot of communication back and forth. And, you know, we hear when people go to Octagon Hall because they come to OSPH and like, yeah, we were over at Octagon Hall and it's clean. And, you know, the owners are great people and Bear's a great person. And you're like, yep, I'm proud to call them my friends because they do it the right way, just like we do. And that's how we want to get involved in it. We want people to feel that way and feel like they're home. And, you know, a lot of people call me at 3 o'clock in the morning going, I heard you bought a new hospital. It's April 13th open. And I'm like, dude, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. Like I just read.
They're getting a jump on it.
Yeah.
So do I understand that? I'm like going, wow, I'm on 24/7 hotline. Oh my gosh.
I'm pulling out my calendar at 3 o'clock in the morning going, yeah, that date is open. Hold on, let me go get my pen. Let me, you know, you're like, oh my gosh, but that's what we're here to do. I mean, because a lot of times that person just left Octagon Hall and talked to Bear about it, and Bear said, you know what, there's this great location down the road. It's OSPH. You need to go there. Well, they're in the car leaving your location, booking my location.
Yeah, right. Right.
You know,
yeah, but they need to. They need to because that's what it's all about. I mean, because there are a few very good, you know, as we know as paranormal investigators, there are very few fine places to go that people are doing this. And as I've gotten older and been in a lot of different buildings, I don't want to go to the ones that are falling apart and windows are down and you walk around going, oh my gosh, you know, am I safe here? If I do see something, I mean, what am I gonna, you know, I don't want to end up in the basement of some place by walking somewhere else. But you know,
and let's face it, at our age, if we trip over something on the floor, hip surgery.
It ain't hip surgery. I've already had that, brother. It's me coming into the house as a ghost, and you're gonna have to deal with my butt every day.
Like I said, I'm just too old for that. It's bad enough walking up 4 flights of stairs because you forgot your damn screwdriver downstairs, and then you forgot. You know what I mean? Walking up the stairs is enough. Let alone, you know, when OSPH, when I bought it, you know, walking over garbage that's been there for 20 years, it's like, no, I don't
no.
have to worry about like tripping over, you know, 85 different garbage disposals, or, you know, I'm to the point, like you said, at my age where I want to investigate a place that, you know, it's clean and there's windows, and when I do an EVP, I don't have to worry about the whistling of the wind going by and going, okay, was that an EVP or was that, you know, Billy Joe Bob out back, you know, beating his
yeah.
I don't know. So there's a lot to be said about.
Yeah, I agree. That's it, 100%.
About the way that, you know, and there are a lot of good owners. I mean, there's Farrar Schoolhouse.
Oh yeah.
There's you.
There are
a lot of good owners who are out there who take really good care of their locations, and there's some that you walk in and you're like, okay, where's the money going? Because it's certainly not going back into the building. And you know, that's the thing. I mean, everybody's like, oh, you know, you must be making a killing. You're doing this. You bought another hospital. My staff knows I'm still driving the 238,000-mile car that I was driving 10 years ago. I didn't go out and buy me a new Porsche. No, I put a new roof on one of my buildings.
That's it.
I mean, and that's the love of it all. And, someday maybe I'll get to sit back and drive a brand new Porsche because my buildings will be all good. And but at this point in time, the money goes back in the buildings, as it does in Octagon Hall.
Yeah, well, Porsche is really cool and everything, but the memories that you're getting back from these places, just from the effort and everything that you're putting into them, it's just.
That's the part.
And all the great
plus you're preserving history for other people to come and look at it and see it and experience something that they have a very special opportunity to have, something that most people don't get to experience.
Well, and Billy just really did hit on something. I think that's something that I think that is really cool because, Heather Reynolds is on here with her husband, Jeff, and Rhonda's on here, and Leanne. And I see a lot of my staff on here, Brooks on here. Leanne's on here. I think what's really, really neat, something that they all know me by, is when we get together as a group and we fix and we clean something, and I stand back and I get a little teary-eyed and I'm like, look what we did, guys.
Yeah.
Like you said, the Porsche is really good. You're going to drive it around. You're going to wax it. But there's no fingerprint. It's just a Porsche. These people are putting a fingerprint in Tennessee. They're leaving behind their legacy. They're leaving behind something that they're accomplishing. And
right.
When we all stand back and we look at like the plants that we planted or the side of the building we painted or the wall we took down, everybody looks back and they're like, wow, look at the work we did. Right. And that's something, like you said, that's a memory that just will never fade. It's a memory that we all look back and we're like, yeah, remember when we did this? Remember when we did that? And that's something I think that's worth its weight in gold. Everybody talks about, having the biggest house on the block, and they do this and they work for a living, and, they've got a $50 million car and a $50 million home, but they have no money to spend doing memories, going on those vacations or doing those things that we as a team do on a regular basis. Because like you said, we're building something. We're all putting a fingerprint on Tennessee, and we all stand back and look at it and go, wow, look at what we accomplished. Look at what the building looked like the day we bought it. Look what it looks like 5 years later. That's what's really cool. And I'm a very emotional person. Everybody who knows me knows I'm not afraid to cry. I'm not afraid to shed a tear. I'm not afraid to put my heart on my sleeve. And, some people look at me and go, oh, you're kind of a wimp. And other people look at me and go, give me a hug. And that's me. I'm very emotional. And, there's a lot of times where my team, like a good example is we had a really pretty extensive roof leak over at OSPH that just really sprung out of nowhere. I mean, and so I called Daniel. I said, dude, we've got a roof leak. He's like, I'll be there in 10 minutes. Guy takes off from work, runs down there, and you know what? Fixed it right on the first try. And I was like, that's one of those days where I'm like, dude, I didn't know you cared that much. And I get a little teary-eyed and a little like, because these people care as much as I do. And it's just a whole part of the environment and the situation. But I think at the end of the day, they stand back and they look at it and they go, I did that. We did the team. I was part of that. And that legacy is going to live on forever as long as we're holding buildings. And hopefully when I die, somebody will buy the buildings and continue on with the legacy that we're doing now. And, that's better than any Porsche or anything in the whole wide world because that's what memories are made of.
So true.
Oh, and by the way, did I tell you the buildings are haunted too?
No. Really? That's awesome. But
get in them halls.
Yeah.
Well, we're so glad to have you here tonight, and we can't wait to have you back in the next coming in 2 weeks. And anything else you want to add to anything? Would you? When are tickets on sale for this right now?
Yes, everything's on sale. So the official opening date for the new hospital is the 28th of April. It went to the highest bidder. And then we have one of my favorite teams coming. The Bench Breaking Broads are going to be there that Saturday. So the reason kind of why I wanted to do the show with you guys at May was because this will be one of the first times the building has ever been investigated under myself. It'll be the first time that's really been investigated outside of a couple of teams that either snuck in or walked through an empty door, Rhonda. Or an open door. But it'll be really the first kind of on record investigations. So I wanted to kind of come back and share everything. What's really, really neat about the team, I'm not real familiar with the team on Friday night, but the team on Saturday night are the Bench Breaking Broads. Anybody who knows them, they're a Tennessee-based team. They got their name from breaking a bench at OSPH. They were all sitting on one of the benches and it broke, and they come to OSPH 3 to 4 times a year typically. And they, as soon as they found out I had the hospital, they're like, hey. And I said, you guys, I'm really loyal to you. They're, like I said, they're the team that, like I said, their team is named after one of my hospitals. How could I not?
Right.
What's really unique about them is they are a very, very mechanical team. They are very, very by the book. They're very, very, they document everything. They were watching us do the walkthrough. They were watching us, she sent me this big list of, like, they're already doing research on the hospital. They do everything very professional. So what's going to be really, really unique is when we come back to the next show, I'm going to rush them to get through their evidence so that we can sit down and talk about their evidence and what they come up and all other stuff so that we can kind of move forward. Because, like I said, this team is very documentary. They document everything. They're a very professional team. They do things really, really by the book. And this is a team that I want to utilize their expertise so that we can kind of use some of their findings to move forward with and be like, this is what this team had come up with. This is what, and use some of that for future teams to kind of use as a reference point. Because some teams do like to come in and have a little bit of idea of what they're walking into, while others like to walk in blind. So we're going to kind of get that happy medium with a team that, like I said, is very professional and very, like I said, very technical. And we'll be able to use some of their evidence and some of their findings. Hopefully it's a really active night for them. But hopefully we can use some of that to kind of move forward, and then we're going to talk about it. And I think that's really, really kind of cool, because I know my team and I have had a lot of experiences, but this will be a team, like I said, that they're an amazing group of ladies.
Hey, and if you want to, we can send them a link and they can come on with you and sit down and talk. We can be more than happy to do that.
I can talk to them on Sunday morning or Saturday night when they come out, because I know they're really excited. We've been communicating back and forth, and they're looking forward to being one of the teams out there. So, yeah, we're excited. I'm sure they would love to come out and talk.
Oh, super. Fantastic. We'd love to be able to give them the heads up, and we'd love to hear what they have to say and continue on with what we know about this new location, because I think it's just going to be awesome. This year is bringing a lot of new things into the Tennessee and the Kentucky area and so forth like that. We're opening up we'll be doing a investigation up in a new historical place in Walden, Kentucky, that we're really looking forward to doing. And we'll hit that before we leave the show, called the Gaines House, the Gaines Tavern. But it's got a lot of great history to it, and we're looking forward to helping them out to be able to do the same thing so that they can continue the history there and look forward to it too. So, it's all wonderful when you can get these new locations and these great places going, and it's all about history, and you got people all working together to do it. So, let's keep them running.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we cannot wait to see everybody on the 11th. So y'all grab your tickets, come out and hang out and have a blast.
Yep. And if there's anybody out there that wants to make a chocolate cobbler, if there's anybody that wants to make a chocolate cobbler for us, come on out. So anyway, but man, it's so great to have you back here, and I can't wait to have you back on again. Ronnie, thank you again. Let me throw up the deal one more time, and it will be on all the ticket information. Everything else is on your web page on the Facebook time, and it's Saturday, June 11th at 6 p.m. opening night at the Historical Harriman Hospital. That's JB Coates and more. It's going to be an awesome night, so don't miss out on this one, folks, because it's when it's got Ronnie and Ronnie's got it and his team is there, it's going to be awesome. So we are really looking forward to attending that and being there and seeing everybody else out there, because that's the happening place to be. It's been
too long since we've seen you last, buddy.
It has. Yeah, we really miss you guys. I mean, I'll never forget the day I met the epic beard guy.
Yeah, the epic beer guy. Yeah, he is quite the guy, you know.
I won't
We
never
won't forget
forget it either, buddy.
Well, everybody talked about him, and he walked in the door, and I'm like, oh my God, that's really him. Like,
Yeah.
it was
You're a lot shorter than I expected.
Yes.
a lot uglier too.
Yeah. Well, hey, you know, we gave him the name Nomi now. So
Ronnie, they're at the hall. They're actually calling me the little one.
little
now.
one.
It
Yeah.
comes over audio, the little one.
Yeah. Hey, little one.
Our little one.
Yeah.
So I just have one question. Are you running around the hall with your pants down?
But I do have a line of yard gnomes coming out very soon.
Right. Yes. 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 There is going to be a Night Stalkers EBG gnome set coming out very soon for Christmas.
Bobblehead and everything.
Bobblehead?
Yeah, it's going to look great. It's going to be great.
Weird.
No.
Anyway,
This is
guys, thank you so much, chat room. Chat room, thank you so much. We appreciate all that you do for us, and thank you for tuning in and supporting us. We love to do these shows for you. We love to just make it like the family hour, sitting in our living rooms, just doing what we do best and talking about what we love the best is great locations, the paranormal, and people like this man right here. Yeah, you know, and great owners, and off we go into the great year. Ronnie, thank you again, my friend, and I look forward to seeing you in a couple of in 2 weeks here on the show again, and then sometime on June 11th also. So everyone, thank you for tuning in to Into the Fire. It's been a great night. I hope you have a great rest of your week. God bless, and we'll see you here next week on Into the Fire on Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern. Good night, all. And this time I'm playing the intro as we go out. Take care.